On a quiet night in June of 1889, Vincent van Gogh pressed his face to the iron bars of a small, grated window at the Saint-Paul-de-Moselle Asylum in southern France. Beyond the rusting metal, the world outside stretched before him. Endless hills, towering cypresses, and a sky so vast it looked alive. What emerged from this scene was something extraordinary, a painting that would become a cornerstone of art history, the Starry Night. But what if I told you that behind these swirling blues, radiant yellows, and hauntingly beautiful shapes lies a story filled with tragedy, triumph, and layers of mystery? Today we'll go beyond the surface and discover the hidden story behind the Starry Night, a tale of color, chaos, and cosmic wonder. By the time Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, life had already battered him into a shadow of himself. His days were marked by severe mental anguish, punctuated by hallucinations, breakdowns, and relentless isolation. Just months before, he had famously severed part of his ear, a cry for help from a man at the edge of his sanity. At age 36, he admitted himself to the Saint-Paul-de-Moselle Asylum, a former monastery nestled in rocky hills, where clear Provençal light poured across the countryside. It was here in his small studio that Van Gogh grappled with his demons the only way he knew how, through art. But here's something crucial. The Starry Night wasn't created en plein air, as some might imagine. Van Gogh didn't paint it gazing directly at the cosmos. It was a memory, a synthesis of imagination and reality. By day, he would sketch the cypress trees, olive groves, and rolling fields visible from the asylum's gardens. By night, he would revisit his recollected visions of the stars, stars he believed had profound spiritual meaning. The result wasn't a realistic portrayal of the night sky, but something far more profound, a window into the inner universe of a tortured genius. Let's look at this painting more closely. The first thing that strikes you is movement. The sky feels alive. Swirling curves of cobalt and cerulean seem to ripple in waves, leading your eyes across its vast expanse. Yellow-orange orbs blaze against the blue night like small suns, their intensity tempered by halos of softened light. And yet, despite its cosmic chaos, the composition feels balanced, almost gravitationally anchored. How did Van Gogh achieve this? The answer lies in his color palette. Van Gogh adhered to one of his most steadfast beliefs, that color is emotion. Instead of trying to reproduce exactly what I see before me, he once wrote to his brother Theo, I use color more arbitrarily to express myself more forcibly. In the Starry Night, his choices are deliberate and evocative. The deep, electrified blues of the sky stir feelings of mystery, longing, and infinite depth, a powerful backdrop for the bursts of light created by the yellows. These yellows, brighter and creamier than the moon's pale glow, form a sharp contrast to the somber, dark tones below where the earth lies. Now you might think, the complementary contrast between yellow and blue is classic, almost too obvious. But look closer. Van Gogh creates subtleties in the gradients. The way the yellows fade into ghostly greens along the edges, the indigo shadows that deepen between the swirls of blue, almost like bruises. Each shift in hue feels alive, as if pulsating with energy, reflecting not just the night sky, but the chaos within Vincent's own mind. And let's not overlook the brushstrokes. Van Gogh's strokes weren't just a style, they were like his fingerprint, deeply personal and utterly unique. On the canvas, he paints the sky in thick, swirling arcs of oil, almost sculpting it into movement. These bold, deliberate lines evoke a sense of turbulence, almost like a storm brewing in the heavens. But they're not just decorative. The circular motion in the painting mirrors a phenomenon in fluid dynamics called turbulence. This has led some physicists and art historians to wonder, was Van Gogh tapping into a universal law of nature, embedding fractals into his art without consciously realizing it? This cosmic energy in the sky is strikingly juxtaposed against the stillness of the earth below it. In the bottom section of the painting, we see a sleepy village, its small homes and church steeple nestled neatly in a valley. Here the colors are muted, grays, browns, smudged green rooftops, almost devoid of life. By contrast, the lone cypress tree stands out like a dark flame. With its spindly upward-reaching form, it bridges the earthly world and the celestial one, like a silent mediator between man and the cosmos. Some interpret the cypress as a symbol of death, a common association in Van Gogh's time. Could it be that Vincent, contemplating mortality, saw himself in that isolated tree? Here's where things get even more intriguing. Art historians have long debated the real-world influences of the Starry Night. Some point to Van Gogh's interest in astronomy. After all, the positions of Venus and certain constellations match his rendering almost perfectly for that June night in 1889. Others argue that the painting is almost like a mental map, a dreamlike representation of his existential struggles. The stars may not just symbolize the heavens, but hope, eternity, a yearning for a world beyond pain. Van Gogh himself hinted at this when he wrote, "I don't know anything with certainty, but seeing the stars makes me dream." But here comes the twist. When Van Gogh finished The Starry Night and sent it to Theo along with his usual letters, he wasn't sure if the painting was any good. But here comes the twist. When Van Gogh finished The Starry Night and sent it to Theo along with his usual letters, he wasn't sure if the painting was any good. He called it a failure, literally saying, "The rest says nothing to me." Can you imagine? A painting we now consider one of the greatest masterpieces of all time dismissed by its creator as inadequate. Perhaps Vincent struggled to see his work's significance because he was caught in the raw intensity of his feelings. By the time he painted The Starry Night, he had lost all connection to the art world. He lived in relative obscurity, his mental health deteriorating rapidly, and he sold only a single painting during his lifetime. He couldn't have known that this luminous, star-studded vision would travel across centuries, touching the hearts of millions. And maybe that's the irony of The Starry Night. It's not just a painting of a celestial landscape. It's a reflection of the human condition. Think about it. All of us have moments of darkness, of chaos, where the world feels overwhelming. And yet, in the middle of that storm, there's beauty. There's light, defiance, resilience. Van Gogh captured that paradox perfectly. Through his swirling nights and trembling stars, he reminds us the universe is vast and unknowable, but we are part of it. Today, The Starry Night is more than just an artwork on display at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. It's an icon of creativity, a timeless testament to the hope that can emerge from unimaginable anguish. Van Gogh didn't know if the world would understand him, but he poured his soul into this canvas anyway. If nothing else, The Starry Night teaches us that art doesn't just imitate life, it transforms it, transcending the personal to become universal. The next time you look at The Starry Night, don't just admire it from afar. Step closer. Lose yourself in that winding symphony of blues and yellows. Feel the urgency in his strokes, the vulnerability in his color palette. Through that window to the cosmos, you might just catch a glimpse of Van Gogh's soul, and maybe even a little of your own.